Welcome to the Twinkle Talks EYFS podcast. Working in the early years is busy, funny, messy, and exhausting. Join me, Shana, and the rest of the Twinkle EYFS team as we talk honestly about our experiences as practitioners, teachers, and professional nappy changers. Whether you're listening to increase your CPD hours or catching up on our antics whilst driving home from work, Twinkle EYFS will share everything you need to know about all things early years. Hello, wonderful listeners. I'm so excited to be here with you this week. We've got an absolute treat for you today. I'm going to be speaking to none other than the Black Super Nanny himself, Joss Cambridge-Simmons of Jossy Care. I'm really trying hard not to fangirl like crazy here, but it's really hard. But before we get there, let's start with a little bit of light-hearted fun with Katie and only in the EYFS.
This week in Only in the EYFS. We've received breaking news from Kelly Sword that a child who's toilet trained in her class has announced, "Haven't I got a big tallywhacker? Didn't realise it was a competition, little man." We've had reporting concerns from Danielle Mockford's classroom that on the day they were having roast gammon for lunch, a child was very concerned that they were in fact eating Miss Gammon for lunch. We have had it confirmed that Miss Gammon is alive and well. During a polar bear drawing activity, a child announced to Louise Hayward, "My dad's willy is as long as a snake." Good luck looking dad in the eye at pickup, Louise. That's it for this episode. Tune in next time for more antics in Only in the EYFS.
Okay. I mean, what do I say about today's segment? There was a lot of private talk going on. Wow. Look, none of this is new. We get these kind of conversations all the time in early years, right? It's just it never gets old. But now we've had our fun, let's get right into our main event of today's episode. As I said before, we've got the incredible Joss Cambridge-Simmons, who's just been so kind enough to take some time to talk to me today about why representation matters in the early years, especially for him. Let's take it away. Hi, Joss. I'm so honoured to have you here. It's probably very obvious that I'm already fangirling. I'm tripping over my words already. But for our listeners that don't already know you, please tell us about you, about your relationship in education, and what you're up to now.
I am Joss Cambridge-Simmons, the founder of Jossy Care, a two-time award-winning ad hoc temp childcare service that is child-led. I wouldn't even say my ethos is child-led, because we really believe that letting love lead is the only way to succeed, and letting love lead is letting children lead, because children are love, and children are the love that we need. Whether we're creating a better universe for children to thrive in, we're parenting, we're being uncles, aunties, we're working in a way where it benefits the next generation to come. You don't actually solely have to go and be a parent to aid children in your journey through life as an individual. And what I've also learned through this journey is that it takes a village to raise a child. And Jossy Care is a big part of a lot of families, villages, and it's ongoing. And the village is ever growing and glowing and getting to a stage where I've now learnt my importance in this village.
Yeah.
And I know my importance in this village, where the lack of representation is a big lack of, whether it's to do with my ethnicity or my gender. On both sides of it, there's a big lack in a lot of roles of work in the world, but especially in early years in education. Now, most men in education tend to work with older children. The amount of men in early years isn't enough. The amount of black men in early years isn't enough. We're all represented on both sides.
Right. And this is kind of where I was able to reach out to you, wasn't it? Because I went to one of the Islington Council talks because I'd just done an episode on male practitioners, because I saw a shocking statistic that only 3% of practitioners are male.
Yeah.
And then I think it was literally like a couple of days after, I went to this talk with you talking about visibility in early years.
Yeah.
And then within that, 0.3 practitioners are black and male. And I just thought that is shocking. It's absolutely
Yeah.
shocking. And why is this? And like you say, representation is a massive part about that.
Yeah.
Now, our episode is called Representation Matters, or Why Representation Matters, for a reason.
Yeah.
We all know representation matters. That is a no-brainer. But I wanted to kind of delve deeper into more of that because, of course, it's a personal thing, isn't it? Like you said,
Yeah.
representation is for everybody. For you, it's, you just said, to do with your identity and your race and your gender.
Yeah.
For me, for example, I have a suspected autoimmune. I've got Crohn's. I was literally in the hospital this morning doing tests to find out if I do have this, invisible disability. And it's small, well, I don't know. I would say small things, but have you watched the show Strictly Come Dancing, Joss?
Yes, yeah. I've seen it once or twice, yeah.
Oh my God, once or twice? I'm a diehard fan over here. And there's a professional dancer called Amy Dowden, and she has Crohn's.
Yeah.
And because of that, instantly she's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because I feel represented. It's like, you know what, this lady has an autoimmune and she can go out there and she can dance and she can go and do all these competitions. You know what, maybe I can do that too. So representation doesn't always have to be about race. It's about the individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for you, I suppose, when we're talking about representation, well, for anybody, isn't it? We think about our own childhood as educators.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to ask, what was your early years experience like?
Early years experience was, how was it? I can't think back that far.
It wasn't that long ago. Come on.
It was, what's the word I'm looking for? It was very highly influenced by women, and it still is.
Yeah.
And it was very highly influenced by the lack of male presence and the lack of a black male presence, where a lot of us in early years now know the black male educators because there's so little of us. They don't know us because we're all working side to side with the women. They can tend to know us because there's so little of us. So it's not hard to find a black male educator in a pool of 10 or the pool of 10 that want to be seen, because there's other educators that are there that don't care to be on Instagram, don't care to do podcasts, don't care to speak on it.
Yeah.
They're just thriving and doing their work the way they enjoy doing it. But the journey was immature, as in I started when I was 19. I was a birthing partner at 20 from one of the mums at the nursery that I now babysit for.
Wow.
And I nannied for as well. So I started nannying alongside being an early years practitioner. I think I did my level 3 childcare development in 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because I loved it so much. I really enjoyed doing it. But I did it originally first in City Islington College in Holloway, Islington. I failed it because I was out of education for a while. I was in college before the job, but I wasn't used to being in an environment with just women in the classroom. It was hard enough being with just women in a workplace, but being with just women in the classroom. Everyone was older than me, so everyone was quite patronising. And it just wasn't, I was 19, I just didn't want to go to college. I wanted to work. And then when I did the course again through the nursery, it was through an online platform. Yeah, the vigilator was the nicest woman ever. And she's probably one of the reasons why I enjoyed it. I enjoy early years. I would love to find her details somewhere. But,
what's her name? We could do a shout out for you.
I can't remember her name.
Oh, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to get to the bottom of this, Joss. This is a big shout out. Our listeners, if you know who the vigilator was for Joss, please let us know. We need to get this reunion.
That was a big part of why I liked it, because I was able to do the course on my own time.
Yeah.
I did it within 6-7 months. Passed it with flying colours. Became a room leader shortly after. But then the hindrance of being a male in early years when I started was when I was getting roles for my experience and my new Crown qualification, some of the female staff in the settings felt like I wasn't worthy of it.
And what was their reasoning?
I wouldn't know their reasoning, but I would assume that it probably was because I was a guy, because you wasn't doing this to the other female counterparts. And then being a black guy in a nursery setting, you're seen twice, because you're seen as a guy because you just stand out, then seen as a black guy.
Mm.
And it's like, whatever was against me, I didn't see it, because I think my children's planning, Ofsted marked my planning for my children, for my key children, as outstanding, and used that as the standard of what planning should be for your children.
Oh, wow. So you're like a leader.
In Asquith Day nurseries at these times, and a lot of the staffing team at that said nursery I was at didn't like that. And there was that bit of it. Moving forward, I was a manager of other nurseries, a room leader. I've worked in children's centres, and I bumped into my other mum yesterday, actually. Her child's now 9. Last time I saw her child was 4.
Oh, Oh, doesn't it make you feel old when that happens?
Yeah.
You're like,
So,
oh God, did I just blink and this child has grown up? Oh dear.
but on the more positive side of it, it was life changing experience because I'm now here.
Yes.
What everything that I've gone through and that I did, I wouldn't be here, and I've been able to have a job or have a vocation that has me being able to be me and do my job being myself. A lot of us don't get to be ourselves at work, and my job's taught me how to just stay being true to myself, be black and proud in any space I'm in, be a male and be proud of the job I do, advocate for men, advocate for black men, and then advocate for the representation of black people on a whole, because we're all represented in most walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
We're seen as the afterthought sometimes, not the first thought, when we're as good as everyone else.
Yeah.
Because it's highly sorted after as everyone else is as well. But it's being seen as that by said white people that are in the room as well. So my work has showed me how important representation is and how important it is to have a well represented early years industry of black males, where black males are seen in a realm where, and they're seeing that they can do this job and be who they are, live where they live, dress how they dress, and work how they want to work. The same way we support our LGBTQ counterparts, being bisexual or being gay.
Just being them, just being yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, so we need constantly to have the same effort of energy put into the representation of black individuals within education to be seen as professionals everyone else is, whether they've got a qualification or they haven't. So yeah, that's been my journey thus far.
Wow. And obviously you're still in it now. You're still doing the job. You've been doing it for such a long time.
Yeah.
What impact have you seen being, I mean, I don't want to put you like on a pedestal or anything, but obviously you are, a beacon of representation for a lot of children, for a lot of black families.
Yeah.
What impact have you seen by you just being you, by you just showing up?
The impact that I've seen from myself being myself is, sadly, I'm the first point of call for blackness to a lot of people. Because I've realised a lot of these families, it's not everyone, but a lot of these families, like these children, even down to interviews where I have in person or on podcasts or blog spots, a lot of people aren't rubbing shoulders with black people, ever, barely. They might have one black friend at work. So then when they then meet me looking after their child, this is the closest they've ever been to a black person. On varied occasions, day in, day out, I'm in your house. And it's a thing where I've realised I'm their first point of call. So I now teach some of these families, not teach, but these families now see what blackness is from being around me, which isn't actually healthy because there's other variations of being black.
Right.
I'm not the be all and end all of blackness. I'm not the be all and end all of the culture. The culture's vast, wide, and very colourful. And I've now realised that for a lot of these children and parents, I'm the first for some of these children, first black person these children have ever actually spoken to or been around. Especially for some of these children that go to private schools and have after school clubs like polo, like horse riding and ballet, after school activities that are usually done by the more affluent, where the more affluent tends to be, sadly, not people from minorities or ethnic backgrounds. So their children are lacking experiences and lacking culture due to the fact that their parents are putting them in spaces where you're only in spaces around people that have money. Like all of your friends have money, so you're only going to a kids' party in Barbican. You're not going to end up at a kids' party in a community hall or at a family house, because when money isn't be on the end, you tend to do stuff at home for your family, and it goes down well. Where these children are going to lack those experiences because of their privilege. And I've realised due to that, a lot of children aren't actually aware of diversity and colour and gender and race, because some of their parents don't actually have the conversations with them.
Right.
I've realised that the privilege that comes when you've got money, you put your children into private school, you would never actually realise that our children aren't being exposed to anything outside of that. Like a normal London life isn't sending your children to primary school.
No, you're right.
And that's not a black or white thing.
No.
The box standard Londoner that has a child goes to children's centre and a state school. The upper echelon do the latter. And what happens to the upper echelon, they end up in bubbles or leave their local area because everything you've got is in your area because you've got money to afford everything in your area, which means you don't end up rubbing shoulders with your counterparts and only end up rubbing shoulders with people that are in the same cash bracket as you. And this is why representation is so important, because representation, like for prime example, I've got a family, the dads, I think they're very well off, but the dad was adamant to take his oldest son out of private school to put him in state school because he didn't want his son to grow up not knowing that he's privilege, not being able to be humble with his privilege as well. So he's put his son into a state school where his son now has black friends, Asian friends, Turkish friends, Jewish friends. Private school I did pick up today, there's barely any black teachers, let alone black. There's probably one black child in the school, and it's the most expensive school in West London. But but this school is in the heart of Ladbroke Grove.
It's jarring, isn't it?
Yeah, and the representation in the school is like there's a lack of it. Like you can see it. So yeah, representation matters, and that's why it matters.
Do you feel like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders?
Nah, no. Like the culture we come from, the areas we come from, we're used to having X, Y, and Z things put up against us as kinfolk, black folk, and I'm used to it. I don't wear it. It's not a coincidence that I've got to where I've got to, because if you look at our heritage and our culture, we've been fighting our whole lives. This isn't new to us. So having to then be in a space and be who you are is a walk in the park. Because I pride myself on never having to water myself down for anybody, be it friendship, work, or relationship. Like I am who I am 24/7. I've had people, family members tell me that, maybe quiet yourself down a bit and you might get there. And I'm nah, we're not doing that.
Nah. No.
Because you're basically telling me that if I was ginger, make your hair not ginger and people might accept you a bit more.
Right.
Because the spaces you're in aren't really here for loud hair. That's what you're saying. No. I want my hair to be more ginger now, just to piss people off, excuse my language. Like, yeah, so like I'm proud of who I am, proud of my blackness, proud of my gender in every space I'm in and every relationship or friendship I'm in. And if I can't be that, then that space isn't for me. And what I've learned, what early just taught me is I don't fit into spaces. I create a new one.
Well, that's where Jossy Care came from, isn't it? Am I right?
Definitely. That's what I was getting into. So call it a segue.
Well, I see we're on the same page. Well done. We've done this before. So tell us then, so how did Jossy Care come about?
Jossy Care came about by the struggle I was having finding nanny roles via agencies, because they kept telling me I lacked experience, kept telling me there wasn't any jobs for men, kept giving me jobs that were underpaid or jobs that were minimal hours or jobs that were just for families that just wanted the money for their boys because their boys were boisterous. And I'm like, I don't know what a boisterous boy is because I never was a boisterous child. I was a child.
Yeah.
I wasn't coined to a certain behaviour because of my gender.
Right.
I was having a certain behaviour because I was a child in North London. That didn't attend to my gender. That attended to my presentness as being a black child in the 90s, growing up in early 2000s.
Yeah.
And how it came about was the lack of me being able to get a nanny job. And then I originally wanted to open up an agency. I actually wanted to become a nanny that didn't work full time for any families, but offered childcare all over the world, which I've done, all over the UK, which I've done, but then also have a voice where I can talk about more men getting into this field, and I can talk about creating your own doors in your own lane and sticking to that. And as we say, not watching any face, and basically not watching faces, not watching what other people do, because they're the same. If you watch someone else's plate of food, your plate of food is going to get cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nobody wants a cold plate of food. So mind the business that pays you.
It's like that saying, isn't it? Don't count someone else's sprinkles on your ice cream and let your ice cream melt, that kind of thing.
And that's where Jossy Care stemmed from. And then now where I haven't had to take a job from an agency for about a year and a half.
Wow.
Like I apply for them and there's agencies that still don't give me work, even on my experiences.
Yeah, no one can use that excuse anymore.
So what my voice is how much agencies can do to eradicate the stereotypes that they uphold, because they've got a clientele that only want women, for example. And they've got a clientele that only want men for their boys. And my thing is, if you teach these families or show these families the importance of having a well-represented nanny force in their households, whether it be male, female, black male, Turkish male, Indian male, Jewish male, and giving them educators, be it gender or race, it will eventually eradicate parents thinking they can come to you and say, we want a guy because we only want a man that speaks French because we've got boys that are really boisterous and want to play football.
It's one of those horrendous catch-22s, isn't it? Because like you say, as soon as you get represented people in the jobs, then those stereotypes, like you say, those things, they go away because you can actually see it and be like, no, they're just good at their job. Like, what's the problem? But in order to do that, people need to give you a chance. And well, not all people, of course, but there are still stereotypes and there are still stigmas that are still really unwilling. How do you tackle that? How do we all tackle that in the earlier sector?
Looking at your own unconscious bias, looking at yourself. Because it starts with you. The work starts and ends with you. You can't change the world until you focus on what you need to change with how you navigate and do stuff, and your beliefs and your biases and your grievances with X, Y, and Z issues. When you change that, that trickles out into the universe and adds to the change that is inevitably going to come when it comes. Prime example, I had work this week, and a child said that I'm mean because I look different to her. And I spoke about it with her because she said it. And the dialogue was now open to speak about what we find meaning in people. And what someone looks like isn't always the best point of call to say, I don't like them. So if you don't like someone, you usually don't like someone based on how they treated you. But then I also had to ask myself and and teach this child in the moment, or have a conversation with her about giving love to everyone, even if they don't give love to you. So if someone doesn't like you, you still like them and hold space for them. And I now teach my children about when they go low, we go higher, and we go higher and we don't stop. As black people, we did that for our whole generational lives. We've had to go high when they go low. Now, in the context of just life in general, when people treat you a certain way, let them treat you that way, because you're going to go high and they're going to keep trying to go low. And I end up talking to the parents about it, and I'm having an open conversation about race, gender, equality, conversations about race, and let them know that these conversations need to be had and normalized, and had with confidence, or had with ear of wanting to learn more, wanting to double back in your own unconscious bias. Because I think you guys realize you booked a male nanny, a black male nanny, but I don't think you realize you booked a black male nanny. Because things like, I might walk into the house, but I've got my own key, and the cleaner might startle back when she sees me in the house. She's not aware that the nanny is a male.
Right.
The cleaner shouldn't have to be told that we've got a nanny, happens to be a black guy.
Yeah.
But because of the way society thinks, they're gonna look at you funny when you turn up and say you're the plumber. So yeah.
Do you know, I'm getting goosebumps just listening to you talk, because, like you say, the work starts with you. I always thought I was quite good at being self-aware, but there's always things that we can learn. And it's also making me recognize, like you say, my own privilege, or because of the color of the skin that I have, like you said, teaching children to be self-aware. For, like you said, for example, you it's not a privilege for you because you've had to do it. You did not have the choice. It's the way society has treated you.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in you to be self-aware. So what I suppose I really mean is, it's a privilege to not be self-aware.
No, because what I've learned about self-awareness is a necessity that everyone needs to have.
Yeah.
Because when you're self-aware, you're mindful, and with self-awareness and mindfulness comes an ounce of caring. Because you care so much, you want to be self-aware and understand that sometimes you can hurt people's feelings with how you might come across and say stuff. So your self-awareness and your mindfulness will have you finding new ways to navigate how to speak your mind in any space you're in. Let alone your self-awareness and mindfulness will help you navigate the fact that you're in a space with people that predominantly aren't always in this space, be it there being a black girl in the space of predominantly black white women in the space of the nanny world, where, like, not what we do to make this comfortable, make Joss comfortable, but how do we approach this in a way where we're not being corny, and we're not booking a male childcare or a black male childcarer to tick our boxes and look cool. So you need to be for, like, if I'm booking in a female plumber, I need to be for being a feminist, and women having a voice and getting highly paid, and women being respected in every walk of life, and women not being catcalled on the street. I need to be for every single ounce of that and every variation that comes with it.
Right.
If I'm not for it, then don't even book a female plumber, because now you're just booking a female plumber because that's the only one available. You're not booking a female farmer to add to the nuances of the fact that it's just someone doing the job, the end. Where I need to know that people are booking us male practitioners, us black male early years educators, not because we're black males, but because, they value our skill set, they value our presence, they value what we can bring to them, diversity from the cultures we come from. But they also understand that what comes with it, that I might be with your children constantly like I am, and people might give us dirty looks. I'm walking down the street with a black child, with a white child. Like, and the fact that like you're gonna shut conversations down when you're in your office is saying, "Oh, I did nanny called you. How's your nanny? Oh, he's the guy." You just happen to say it. Like, what's your nanny's name? You talk to your colleagues about me, and they might say something out of line about my race or my gender. I need to know that you're gonna shut that down. That's gonna brush it off.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? And I think this shouldn't be a one person needs to do everything kind of thing. Like you say, it's a societal change. It's something that we all need to work on, and we all need to do our bit, like you said. And like you say, it's either all or nothing. You can't pick and choose. It's a all or nothing thing. And especially like you say, in the early years sector, starting from that young age.
Yes.
From what you've seen, what's the impact for Black children, do you think, starting and having someone like you, or just someone that they feel that like they are represented by?
Yeah.
What impact does that have, and what have you seen?
A surprise where most of them haven't seen a Black person in this space caring for them other than their parents. The same way as most children haven't seen a Black person caring for them other than their parents. There's a lot of Black female nannies, but there's not a lot of Black educators in this part of early years. So children, be it white or Black, the benefits they have is to see that everyone can do everything. And children need to see it so they don't get shocked when they see a bus driver that's got one arm and happens to be white, let alone seeing a train driver that's Black and has one arm. Like, representation matters for everybody, race, gender, and for the other genders as well, because there's no longer just two genders. So every gender needs a voice, every gender needs a space, every gender needs representation. The same way the conversation about representation for ethnic minorities, like the lack of positive representation that we have. There's more of us doing positive stuff than there is being negative.
Yeah.
But the stereotypes that come with being negative is what waves the media in and plays on social media and people tend to go to. It's so important where every time I tell someone what I do, 9 out of 10 times they're shocked because people aren't used to the thought of a male educator. But if I tend to tell parents or people that are like, for the fight of just life in general, they're like, yeah, we need more men doing that.
Well, it reminds me of a discussion I had a couple of months ago with one of my colleagues, because we were talking about dyslexia and about how representation and that is lacking as well, and the fact that she's a teacher and she has dyslexia. But it was that whole, that goes against the stereotype of a typical teacher. We have to do spelling correctly and grammar correctly, and all, we need to be ashamed of it. And it was, like you say, it was that whole conversation of, well, hang on a minute, we can't pretend that dyslexic people do not exist. That's ridiculous. We need to have more dyslexic teachers to show dyslexic children that they can still do what they want to do. Like you say, representation is important for everybody. And if we see it in our teachers, like you say, when we're at that young age in children, and when we're in school or childcare services for a long, most of the day, sometimes at points in their life, they might see their childcarer more than they see their parents during the day in that time of their life. That is a massive role model. So we need to make sure that we represent our children. Now, I'm wondering, when you were in nursery yourself, when you were little, did you have any child carers or teachers or anybody that you still hold on to now?
I haven't seen my childminder in years. I haven't forgotten who she is. I haven't forgotten her. I think I often see my old nursery teachers sometimes. I went to Goodinge Nursery, which is now actually still there. Goodinge Nursery, not children's centre. Yeah, but I hold on to my youth clubs. My old youth clubs, I work with them and do work for them, and I facilitate DJ workshops in my old youth clubs, and I'm on the verge of, I want to start doing mother and baby group and dad and father groups, etc. And I'll be using my old youth club spaces for that.
Oh, that's great.
I'm very big on community and how much these spaces mean in our community and mean for us, etc. And we don't hold on to them enough because there's not enough youth clubs left. So when our children leave early years and get into secondary school, the way that we have youth clubs and I held on to them, most of our generation had a youth club they went to at one point in their lives. I still go back to mine. I still work with some of the staff that are there, and it means a lot because that's the village I've come from. And I'm still part of that village. I'm still a baby in that village. I'm still a child in that village. I still have my elders in the village that give me insight and give me knowledge and give me guidance.
Do you know, I think I asked someone else this a couple of episodes ago. Do you think COVID has an impact on like the community spirit in terms of has it had a positive impact?
Yeah, because people have been put into situations they haven't had to be in, like be in the house every day, go outside for walks, and then find out your neighbour's called Dave.
Yeah. Has it impacted your youth clubs as well, do you think? Do you think it's made it?
No, because they were closed and the governments have been trying to close youth clubs for years anyway. COVID was always another excuse to close these youth clubs.
Do you think it'll change?
Nah, not really.
What can we do, Joss? What can we do?
It's government seeing need and necessity for these spaces for these young children, for these children that come from diverse backgrounds that lack resources in these backgrounds for them to thrive outside the educational space. And the importance of it, and the importance that one youth worker can have on a group of children, influence you can have on them, like the impact, like of like if I never went youth club, I never would have got into DJing. I was into DJing before youth club, but I learned to DJ in the youth club. Like most rappers, MCs, and DJs and musicians learned in a youth club or learned in a space with their friends when they was younger. Especially anyone that does rap or hip hop or UK music now, I guarantee the 27 plus generation, the Skeptors, the Daves, the Stormzy's, they grew up in a youth club doing this in the youth club way before anything else. They would tell you how, if that youth club wasn't there, we wouldn't have Skepta, we wouldn't have a JME, we wouldn't have a Stormzy, we wouldn't have a gigs. Like these musicians, the same way with your local football pitch, we wouldn't have our Rio Ferdinand, our David Beckhams, our Ian Wrights if the floodlights were turned off for 5 o'clock every night in the 90s. Where now these children have to now pay to play in most Afro spaces because the men from the city tend to book it out and might let one kid jump on the pitch at halftime and play.
What do you think needs to be done? I know you've talked about the government, and obviously there's a lot there.
Yeah.
What practical, real world on the frontline things?
I think we spoke before about the book All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Yes, we did.
Get that book and you'll realise the importance of community. When you read that book, because obviously you know the importance of it already, but in the book she stresses the fact that if governments led with more love, there will be less of what's happening right now in the world. Because love is the biggest tool in war and the biggest resource in life and the strongest energy you can ever come across. Love conquers all, but no one's leading with it. We have leaders that lack compassion and lack love. So they're not leading with love, they're leading with everything but that. And that's why we end up where we are as a society all over the world.
And you know what? Talking about love, I know that's a really important part of your ethos, your pedagogy, and things like that. I mean, it's a silly question because of course it's obvious, but why is representation and love, why is love so important?
Because it's the only thing that's important, because without that there's nothing. Like if you didn't love the house you lived in, it would break down, eventually get evicted, have nowhere to live because of the lack of love you put into it. Like it's that important that we lead and we navigate with love, because love heals, love nurtures, love teaches, love guides. Love is all of these things, and in a space of children it's even more important, but it's as important for adults because we tend to stop being soft with adults, stop being patient, stop being nurturing, stop being caring, and realizing that we are as much as needy as these children are with our emotions. Only thing is we can unpack our stuff a little bit more. Not all of us. A lot of us can't speak and navigate how we feel and know how to interpret it and engage with people as in regards to our feelings. We struggle with it. That's why it's needed even more. Because what I've realized in the realm of dating and relationships, people tend to have an idea of what they want. They want a man or woman that has X, Y, and Z things: confident, outspoken, successful, down to earth, self-reliant. But what happens to the individuals that lack those traits because of lack of confidence, hidden disability, dyslexia, lack of self-love? They still deserve love the same way the person that's confident deserves love. And you realize those people don't get the light shed on them. They go under the radar. It's like that child in the class that the disability isn't seen. They go under the radar, end up in year 5 or year 6 not being able to read or write because no one's realised that this child still needs love regardless of how confident they are. So that's why love is important, and that's why inside the realm of early years, I give the same love I give outside of it, with grace and with compassion. And when that child made a comment and spoke freely about how she felt about what I looked like, I never chastised her. I never. If I felt how I felt, I unpacked it for myself. But it wasn't about her. It was about me. And I held space for her, and I realised she's a child, and this is the world that she sees and how she views it. And I didn't chastise the parents for not then giving their child the right tools. Because as much as common sense would say, why haven't you spoken to your children about race? We're only now in a space where race of the conversation is normal. And white people are now confident to use the black word without feeling uncomfortable, when they should never have felt uncomfortable in using the black word or talking about race or diversity or inclusion or representation. The more you have these conversations, the more you do the work, the more you become an ally, and the more, when you have your own children, you would teach your children these nuances and the importance of it, and you would guide them in the way to do that.
Communication is obviously like a really key, like you
Yeah.
said, being open. The thing you say about compassion, naturally, as early as educators, I think we are very good at being compassionate, especially
Yeah.
towards our children. But like you say, it's not just about the children, it's about the staff, it's about the parents, it's about the families as well. How do you then
Yeah.
have compassion for yourself within all of that? You're trying to look after this, like you say, you're trying to build this community,
Yeah.
but you are also a part of that. How does compassion for yourself come in?
It's only able, you can only pour from a cup that's full. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can when you pour from an empty cup, that's when you're in survival mode. Which a lot of us are very good at surviving. A damn great lot of us are good at prodding along, doing good for everyone else, but not treating ourselves amicably. Most of society is surviving. There's a small majority of us that are on the verge of doing the opposite of it, because it's harder work to be compassionate and be graceful and give people what you give yourself. And it's more work to say, no, I can't do it for you because I can't do it for myself right now. So I make sure that I give myself more than I give others. And yeah, because I have boundaries with these children as well. I can't do for you what I don't want to do for you if I don't want to do it right now. Like, as much as it might upset them, I would say it in a way where they understand it. But if I can't do it, I haven't got what's in my cup to do it for them. I can't. And eventually they'll navigate and learn that, and I'll talk to them about saying no when you don't want to do something either.
Because I think that's also something really important to teach children, isn't it? I feel like in the education system, it's very, no, you must listen to the teacher, you must do this, you must do that. And I feel like it's definitely like changing now. It's actually, no. Let's do the holistic child thing. Actually, are they capable of doing this right now? Are they in that correct headspace? Are they correct? Are they able to process what you're asking them to do right now? So I suppose, do you use that kind of same ethos to teach the children the same thing? You just, what, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
This is how I'm feeling. So you need to recognize that in yourself as well.
Yeah. But it's not so self-explanatory because they can't regulate how they feel. So I can't expect them to know, but I imitate it and I show it in my behaviors with them. Because one thing children do a lot is watch. Watch what you say, watch how you behave, and that's what they tend to navigate and copy. So I make sure I do that in front of them. Because children pick up habits from you. So if you haven't got healthy habits, your child is probably less than likely not going to have healthy habits. If you've got healthy habits, they're going to pick up healthy habits. So you've got to treat it starts with you as the adult.
In so many ways, isn't it? You're so right. Not just in how you present yourself to people, but like you say, you only have to go to the role play area to see how much children really do observe. You overhear the little conversations of pretending to be in the kitchen and, pretending to be mum and the stuff they come out with. And you're like, oh, okay, I wonder where they heard that from. You're so right. It's really important, isn't it? So before we get onto our follower questions, because people are ready for this conversation and they want to be a part of it, how would you advise, as an early years practitioner, maybe you're advising other practitioners, maybe you're advising parents and families, how would you advise these conversations to happen?
Just have them. We can't beat around the bush about stuff, just have it. It's like I use examples of relationships all the time because most of us have had one or in one. The conversations you swerve away from having with your partner, just have them. There's no right way to just do something. The right way to do it, but the action in doing it is no, there's not a wrong way. You just have to just do it. So you've got to pluck up the confidence, and even if you're not confident, still do it.
Right.
Because long term, if you don't do, there's more damage in not doing than there isn't in doing. I'd rather make a mistake than not making a mistake. You just have to just do it, like literally, and have an attitude where you're trying and believing it can be done. It's possible, and believing that it can be okay.
I have a feeling as well, like people might also be thinking, cancel culture, social media, all of this thing. Like you say, people are starting these conversations. Perhaps they're trying to be allies, like you say. They're doing all this work, and then, like you say, they make a mistake. Boom. Over. Social media is obviously a massive part of not just our lives as practitioners, but also children's lives as well. Like you say, children are going to make mistakes. Children are going to mess up. But now they have social media. How do we be compassionate and navigate that with love? Because for me, it's hard.
Understand that you make mistakes, and put your hand up and be accountable. You make a mistake, you make a mistake. Only you can tell yourself that it was from an unintentional place. No, it's not for anyone to believe that or accept that. It's for you to accept it. And no one's got to accept your apology apart from you. Like if you break something and everybody's not happy that you broke it, you apologise, you did your best to make amends. The rest is down to God and them. If you've tried your best, you're apologetic, you're sad, you're upset, but you can only go so far with an apology.
I could talk to you for hours about this. This is just a really nice, refreshing conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I do need to make sure our followers do get their questions answered because they were very specific. So we had Mabel write in, and she asked, I think this is something that you do in Hackney. What advice would you give to early years teachers on voice care and training? I've not heard of this before. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Lemon and honey, self-care, singing real music at nursery.
Yeah.
Because when you sing real songs, it's not as boring. Let's keep it at 100. Like, nursery rhymes can get boring.
Yeah.
Nursery rhymes can be repetitive. And on the space of nursery rhymes, a lot of them are racist. I've got a talk on Monday with Tiny about culture and music and the importance of real life music within settings and breaking away from the use of majority of English nursery rhymes that stem from slavery and the plague and a time where Baba Black Sheep was about swapping sheep for slaves. You can't remix something that's racist. It's still racist. Just don't sing it. Like, the end. Just throw it away. Like, make something new. So as for voice care, self-care, not always having to do nursery rhymes at work, talking about let's just talk, let's read, introducing quiet times, introducing yoga, mindfulness, taking yourself to a spa.
Oh, do you know, I'm gonna say that to my manager now because I'm like, no. Joss said I need to have a spa day, so I'm doing.
Yeah, like going for a walk. There's just so many stuff that you can do, and a lot of water.
I feel like us early years teachers, we're bad at drinking water, aren't we? We're so on the go all the time. We just don't, like you say, we don't hold that space for ourselves because we want to give it to our children.
Yeah.
So we need to practice that. Great. All right. Super. Thanks, Mabel. Sarah asks, what's been your most enjoyable interaction with a child?
Every one of them. Because especially when I'm ever present, when I'm present, best thing ever.
Do you think it's hard to be present with, when the reforms came in and they tried to, take out documentations and make it easier?
No, it's easy for me because I remember why I'm here and what I'm doing and my purpose of what I'm doing. So I kind of want to shut off from everything and be present for these kids because this is what really matters. This is the important thing.
It's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, I'm really excited about this question. What was it like winning the National Diversity Award? AKA, did you meet any famous people?
I met the famous people on stage, but I don't remember their names. I've got pictures of them. I think one of them was from Love Island or Only Way is Essex or something from some reality TV show that I don't watch.
Yeah, me neither. I was just going to nod and be like, oh yeah, I totally know. I have no idea. I watch Bluey and Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
For work, not because I like it or anything.
Yeah.
Have you met any famous people? Have you child-minded for any famous people in your travels?
I wouldn't be able to disclose that because of confidentiality.
Oh, you tease! Oh, you set me up for that one. Well, I tried. I have to say I tried.
But as for the award, it was nice to be noticed for my work, and it was just another win for representation, another win in the right direction.
Yeah. What's next for you?
Next is baby groups. I want to do more groups with parents and more conversations with the parents in person. I definitely want to do a sit down with Joss. So like you often get celebrities doing it where they do a night with Joss, a night with the Joes where you've got a room full of people asking you questions and someone interviewing you. Because I know how much I've got to say and how much I've got to give and how much people want to hear it.
Right.
So a room full of that, talking about childcare, my notices, my mindset. Also, I want to start doing baby raves.
Oh my God, baby rave sounds great.
Because they do garage brunch kids and they do all the kids brunch phase. I want to start doing kids ones, making it fun but adding a little bit of early years to it.
Of course. Yeah.
And because I do events and I DJ and I work with children, it makes sense. Everyone that does them, they're really good, but none of these people work with children, so they're usually a little bit missing.
Yeah.
They're parents, but if you're a parent and you work with children and you're into events, it's going to be able to be even better than it would have been. Yeah,
definitely. You've got the experience. You come from that sphere. Put them two together and watch it go. That sounds great fun.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. So what we do as well, just before we go, at the end of every episode, we play a little game with the guests. It's called A Teacher Would You Rather?
Yes.
And it's just some funny things just to get to know you a little bit more, to see what you'd prefer. So we've got 3 questions. The first one is, would you rather tea or coffee? That's a very teachery question.
Tea or coffee, water. I don't drink. I only drink green tea. I drink green tea. I drink green tea, honey and lemon. All of those therapeutic type of teas that every household has. I drink all of that. I don't drink tea. I only drink tea if I've got biscuits.
Oh, okay.
Custard creams. I'm a dipper. I'm a double dipper.
Yes.
So,
oh my God.
yeah.
Right. So what's the perfect dipping bicky? Because there's a lot of controversy.
Digestives.
Yes.
But the ones with sugar in it, because the sugar tax. Like the biscuits now are kind of trash because sugar tax.
I always really like to dunk in the rich teas, but then if you hold it even a second too far, that's it. It's gone. It's in. You've lost it. Ruins the tea forever.
That's why you have a spoon, big teaspoon, and a saucer.
I love. Right, I'm going to do that next. You know what? I've got a cuppa and a travel mug at the minute. I'm going to go and get Bicky and see if that works.
Yeah.
Question number 2. This is a really tricky one for me. Would you rather peel every orange, including the stringy bits, because we know what 3-year-olds are like, at snack time, or get a class of 60 children ready in full PE kit?
Either.
Really?
Yeah.
But I just, it's stressful.
Either or, because you know what it is? My trauma-informed practice has been in a space where children are going to be children.
I wish I had that patience.
due to how I navigated with them and how they navigate their emotions, is how they're going to respond to this situation in hand.
I wish I could be as cool and calm and collected as you are.
And I'm no super nanny, I'm no Superman. It's just more so, I'm very big on children being children.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that annoys a lot of nannies that I see, I don't get annoyed by these children. I have boundaries, or I like what I don't like, but I don't get annoyed. Like a child can't.
Oh, teach me your ways. Oranges. They're like, no, there's still white bits on it. I'm like, oh my God, okay. All right, okay. Last but certainly not least then, would you rather teach, this is really gross. Would you rather teach in a class that has a stomach bug or a cold going round?
I think cold, because we just white noses, that's it.
Do we though? Do we? It just gets everywhere in all of the play dough.
I've realised primary schools stopped wiping noses and doing that self-care part of it due to safeguarding. But if it's in the earliest classroom, I'd be wiping noses.
Yeah, I think that is one of the tricky things, isn't it, in schools and state schools and settings, is, like you say, safeguarding has had a massive impact on how professional love is portrayed nowadays. But, we've got people like you who are bringing it back. Ethos, pure love. So I'd love to have you come back and talk more about that. That would just, professional love and that. It's great. It's great. Thank you, Joss. It's been amazing, and look forward to hearing what you do next. For our wonderful listeners, I know you'll really want to follow his work more. So follow Joss on TikTok, on Instagram. He's got a Facebook page as well. He's on LinkedIn. He's got loads of things, and he's got his own website as well. Don't worry, I'll put everything in the description. But it's time to let him go. So he was so kind enough to give up some time to talk with me today, but he has to zip off and go and do the school run. So I look forward to catching up with him soon. So there you have it. I am so honoured to be able to share this episode with you. It was really, really great to talk to Joss. He's just got this wonderful energy about him. You can tell he's so amazing with children. And I'm just really excited that you got to listen with me as well. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think. Write in, as always. Find us on social media. And make sure you go and check out what Joss is up to. It's really heartwarming. And I guess I will see you for the next episode. See you soon. So that's it from today's episode. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you really enjoyed it. If you would like to get involved or would like to know more, come and find us on our social media sites. We have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and TikTok account. All of the details will be in the description. And whatever you're doing, I hope you have a great day today.